All right, today we're going to talk about unit price. Remember, as you go through the video here, feel free to pause when you need to make sure you get everything down, or go back and rewind if you need to hear something again. Okay, so don't forget those things as we go through the note sheet here. Okay, so we're starting with this table, and you'll notice I already have written here unit price. Okay, because the unit price is the cost for one item. Okay, or for one quantity of something. In this case, it's gallons. Okay, now one thing we're going to start off here doing right away is the top row, so in this case the number of gallons is going to be my X. The price is going to be my Y. We're just going to get used to doing that right now. Later on we're going to see why that is. Okay, but right now we're just going to get used to doing it. Okay, now what I can do with my unit price, now when I write my unit price, I always want to put the money over the quantity. In this case, it's gallons. Now if I wanted to figure out for 2 gallons, I can do the proportion like we've been doing. So it's 2 gallons, so that 2 would have to go on the bottom. Now what I can do is I can do my cross multiply here, so 4 times 2. Okay, and that's going to equal 1 gallon times our dollar amount, which we don't know. I'm going to call it Y since that's what we put for price. So that would be 1 times Y, which is 1Y. Now, because it's 1 times Y, I don't need the 1. I can just put Y. Now, if you see what happens here, all we really had to do was take the 4 times 2 to get the 8. Okay? So if I want to know for the price for $12, or if I want to know how many gallons I can buy with $12, okay, I'm going to do the opposite of what I just did to get the price if I knew the gallons. So now that I know the price is 12, okay, I'm going to divide that by my unit price, which is 4, and that's going to give me 3, which is my number of gallons. Okay, now, again, we could have set that up as the $4 over 1 gallon, okay, equals, and then in this case we knew the price was $12 and we didn't know X, our number of gallons. So what I would end up doing there is taking 12 times 1, which would equal 4 times X, which is 4X. Well, 12 times 1 is 12. 4 times X is 4X. So to solve this, what would I do? I would divide by 4. Okay? So you can see how it works out here. Now for the the 2.29 gallons, okay, if I know the gallons, I'm just going to take the number of gallons times my unit price, which is 4, and that's going to come out to $9.16. Okay, and the reason again is if I were to set this up, okay, $4 over 1 gallon, and I've got 2.29 gallons. Again, what would we do? We would take the 2.29 times the 4 there to get the $9.16. Okay, moving on here. Again, same situation. Okay, I've got the unit price again is 4. So this time we're just going to use that unit price, which is also called our constant of proportionality. Which means I can take the number of gallons times 4, and that's going to give me the price for that amount of gallons. So for the 2.5, I just need to take the 2.5 times 4, and that gives me my price for those 2.5 gallons, which comes out to $10. Okay, so that's for that one there. Now when I know the price, I need to take the price divided by the unit price. So in this case, 14 divided by 4, well, that comes out to 3.5. So my number of gallons would be 3.5 if I have $14. That's how much I would be able to buy. Okay? And then your last one here, if I have 25 gallons, I'm going to take that times 4. That's going to equal 100. Okay? And that's how much 25 gallons are going to cost me. They're going to cost me $100. Okay? Okay, so moving on here again, pay attention to unit price. Unit price is the rate that tells you the price per unit of measure. Okay, in the example we just did, our unit price was $4 per gallon. All right, and that's right here. The unit price was $4 per gallon. Okay, you can look at the rest of the example there if you want to. Pause before we move on. Looking at example 2. Okay, again, same situation. Where we're talking about finding the cost for 2.29 gallons. So again, it shows we can just take the unit price, which is 4, times the 2.29, the number of gallons, and that's going to give us the cost, or the price for those 2.29 gallons. Okay, in this case, that 4, again, our unit price here is also our constant ratio, which is called the constant of proportionality. Okay, in this example, so showing a way we can do this with proportions like we've done before. So when we set it up, okay, they are setting up, it's $4 per gallon. So we know, I'm sorry, it changes from $4 per gallon to $10 per 3 gallons. So what they set up here is, they did gallons over the dollars here. So they set up a proportion. Now we know to solve that proportion, we just need to cross multiply and divide. So you can kind of skip these 3 steps in the middle here. Let's take a little work out of it here. 4.29 times 10 is the 42.9. 3 times x is the 3x. And then what they did there to get that was divide by the 3. And that gives you the $14 and 30 cents for the 4.29 gallons of gas. Moving on to the questions here. So the ratio of the cost of a can to its volume is the same for each of the cans below. The unit price, or the price of 1 can is given. Okay, well, that one is our unit price. Okay, because it's $1.49 for 1 liter. Okay, so for part A, write the estimates for the missing prices. Well, this is what should happen is the smallest one should be the cheapest, and it should get more expensive as you go to the biggest one. So the biggest one should cost the most. And again, the unit price per liter here is the $1.49. Okay, what is the constant of proportionality in that situation? Well, the unit price and the constant of proportionality here go together in this one. So it would just be 1.49. So for part D, we need to use a ratio table and a calculator to find the price of each can, round to the nearest cent. Well, we don't really need to do that. All we need to do is take the amount of the can, so like 0.6 liters. We just need to take that 0.6 times the 1.49, and that is going to give us the cost for that can. So that one's going to come out to 0.89, which is 89 cents. So for the one that's 0.75, again, we just take 0.75 times the $1.49, and in this case that comes out to $1.12 for that can. Okay, so go ahead, take a minute here, try the other ones, and then you can go ahead and check them. Okay, so as you can see, the ones for 2.5 and 3.79, they become more expensive. So as the amount went up, so did the price. Okay, number 2. How would we find the missing prices and weights of peas and peaches shown in these diagrams? Well, for the peas, you can see the unit price is 42 cents. So you just need to take the number of pounds times 0.42, and that's going to give you all those prices. For the peaches, what you're going to need to do first is find the unit price. Now you'll notice with the peaches that sometimes we know the price and we don't know the weight. Sometimes we know the weight, we don't know the price. Okay? When you know the weight, you're going to multiply by the unit price. When you know the price, you're going to divide that price by the unit price to get the weight. Okay? So moving on here. So B, copy the diagram and fill in the missing prices and weights. Again, for the peas, we are just taking the weight, which is the 0.4 for this one, times the 0.42, and that's going to give us 0.1 or 17 cents for that one right there. Okay? So try the rest of those and see how that goes, and then you can check them. All right, so you should see the rest of the prices for the peas there. Now for the peaches, again, the first thing we need to do for the peaches is figure out that unit price. So we know that 4 pounds of peaches is $4.20. We know this right here. So what we need to do to get the unit price is take the $4.20 divided by 4, and that is going to give us 1.05. Okay, again, now if we know the price, we're going to take that divided by the unit price, okay, which is the $1.05. So for this one, I need to take the 63 cents divided by the $1.05. Okay, so the 0.63 divided by 1.05 comes out to 0.6. So for 63 cents, we can get 0.6 pounds. For 1 pound, well, that's the unit price. So that's going to be the $1.05. Okay, for the $2.52, again, you're going to take that divided by the $1.05 to get your answer there, which comes out to 2.4. So that's our answer for this one. Now, if we know the number of pounds again, we're going to take that 3 times the $1.05, and that's going to give us $3.15 for that one. So that's the one that goes right there. Okay, so take a moment, pause and check, see how you do on the last one. All right, so for the last one there, you should have gotten $5.46. Moving on to C, using the equation to determine how much it would cost to buy 7.5 pounds of peaches. So we would have to take the 7.5 and multiply that by the 1.05, and you would get $7.88 for those 7.5 pounds of peaches. All right, moving on to the last parts here for 3. The unit price of the peaches is $1.05 per pound. If we want to know how many we can buy for $1, we need to take the dollar divided by that unit price, or the constant of proportionality, which is 1.05. You get the 0.95 pounds. C, the constant of proportionality, is 1.05. And D, the constant of proportionality between the quantity of the peaches you can buy and the price. So now we're flipping it around. Okay, we want to know how many pounds for $1. That comes out to 0.95. Okay, wrapping it up here. So just take the time, read these questions, look at the answers. Make sure they make sense to you here, especially like number 5. If the unit price increases, what happens to the quantity you can buy for $1? That amount's going to go down. Okay, you won't be able to buy as much for $1 if the price goes up. For B, if the price is cut in half, though, the amount of peaches you can buy for $1 is going to double. Okay? And then lastly here, how is unit price useful? Well, it's good for finding the total cost. It's good for determining the best buy. And it's also good for determining how much you can buy. Okay, once you're done with your notes here, make sure you show it to one of us so that we can give you the homework.